This is the Global Broadcasting Service, serving remote outposts since 1928.
Hi, everyone. Welcome aboard the Walt Disney World Express monorail.
Caramba, we have something really big for you today.
Welcome, foolish mortals.
Now then, hang on to them hats and glasses, because this here's the wildest ride in the wilderness.
This is the DBC Pod with Phil Schoen and Jason Dodge. Everyone, welcome to this week's pod. This is a show for the week of May 8th, 2023. This week we give our takes on recent Disney releases, Peter Pan and Wendy, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, so heavy spoilers later in the show. We got a bunch of our takes and top 3 stuff that we might not get to because normally I ask you what's going on in our Disney World, Phil, but what's going on in everybody's Disney World? Big breaking news late this afternoon. And that's probably going to take up a lot of big portion of the show. So what happened? Everybody's talking about it.
Yeah, so I posted recently, if you heard a sound, that was me going to our show notes to redo them because Disney came out with quite a few updates. These are all what they are labeling 5 updates to make it easier. And I added the quote marks around easier to visit Walt Disney World in 2024. So if you're going in 2023, this won't impact you. However, the kind of buried in this, it said that they will start to book 2024 packages on May 31st, so coming up in a few weeks. So if you've been looking forward to that date, so you can book your trip for 2024, these will all be relevant to you.
Now, hold on. Before we get into them, we got to go back to when Iger has been saying about making things easy, reverting some of the changes, and all like the happy BS that you might expect from like a CEO talking to the public type of stuff. And then we got like, no more paying for parking, even though you're staying there, which is great, but that helps out very few people. And it's like $20 a day. What about everything else? And of course, they did mention that there was more to come, and we got 5 things that are more to come. So let's, I think what we should do, Phil, is I think you should read all 5 off, and then we go back to the top, and then we get more in depth.
Yep. I think that's a good point because, we list all 5 of these. It's probably not all 5 of them are going to be relevant to you or important to you personally, but they're probably important to somebody. And I think it's good that they all sort of show that Disney's listening to their guests and at least going to attempt to modify things or make some changes. So I think.
Or bookings are soft.
And they're trying, and that's forcing them to listen to their guests versus being arrogant that they've been, perhaps. But yeah, so I'll list them off. So the first one, and to be honest, it's more 4 updates and 1 continuation. But the first one is that they're going to be removing theme park reservation requirements for date-based tickets. So if you buy your date-based ticket saying, I'm going to start attending on January 9th or whatever it is, you just pick your starting date and you have your tickets, you're good to go. The next one is introducing what they're calling good to go days for annual pass holders and cast members. This basically means that these are days that you will not be required to make a park reservation to attend those days if you have an annual pass or are a cast member. They will be bringing back, and this was probably the big one that got the most discussion, they are bringing back the Disney dining plan. This is for packages, again, starting January 9th. You can start booking them on May 31st. But if your arrival date is January 9th, 2024 or later, you can add the Disney dining plan. They got rid of the deluxe dining plan. Your 2 options are the regular Disney dining plan or the quick service plan. The 4th item is just that they are going to continue to provide extended park time. This is still the early morning 30 minutes at every park for all resort guests. And the deluxe after hours at select parks are continuing. And then the last one, which we don't have a ton of details about yet, is again, I probably should put this in air quotes, but they are simplifying the Disney Genie Plus experience. They basically said there's been guest feedback that people want some way to plan some element of Genie Plus, individual lightning lanes before the day of the visit. They don't want to have to wait and stress, making everything at 7 a.m. And it just said they're working on something, but they're not ready to share the details of this. But for those of you that have been maybe frustrated with how Genie Plus is executed and stuff like that and missed some of the elements of FastPass Plus, looks like they are listening to you and there's going to be some modifications coming.
All right, so let's get back to the top. So removing theme park reservation requirements for date-based tickets, like Phil was mentioning before, this is basically unless you're buying, like, I don't even know how you can do this, but if you buy day of tickets, obviously you're going that day, so that already has a reservation attached to it. If you buy your tickets from the website with part of your vacation, that's a date-based ticket because you have to pick the range of dates that you're going. So if you book it, like I'm assuming the vast majority of people that go to Disney World, you are no longer going to have park reservations, which is great. So let's start here, Phil. I know a lot of people love this, but to me personally, and like we've said on the show many, many times, reservations never really bothered me.
Yep.
But this helps people that want to be a little bit more spontaneous and decide
Yes.
where they want to go. So what was your initial take when you saw this?
So that was probably what my take was. Was it's not a huge deal for us, but I do know a lot of people that they just find it super annoying. They might want to change what park they're going to that day, and it's just one less thing to worry about. And I do have to say, it was sort of silly that you already had to pick a date you were going to go, and then you still had to make a date reservation on top of it. It just seemed very duplicative. So I do think this simplifies the process. I did also sort of play it forward though and say, like, how will this impact things like virtual queues? Because say, like, right now, if you want to get a virtual queue for Tron at 7 a.m, you have to have a reservation for Magic Kingdom for that day. So is it going to be anybody who has a valid ticket, date-based ticket for that day can try for the virtual queue and then decide to go to Magic Kingdom or not? Or, so I think there's implications for other things that kind of the details, the devil's in the details, like they say, that will have to play out. But overall, I think this does feel like removing an extra step for people and does simplify things. And we did hear some stories and complaining about people who didn't know about this. They booked their travel agent or whatever and just think they have their tickets and they're good to go. And then all of a sudden the park that they want to go to, they're like, you don't have a reservation. They're like, what are you talking about? Like people that aren't as in the know about things. So this kind of removes those complaints and just makes it a little easier.
There's a huge swath of people out there. There's a lot. I mean, if you're listening to this show, you know about reservations, right? So you are not the person I'm talking about right now, obviously. There's a lot of people out there, like you just mentioned, that they just show up. We bought our vacation. A lot of people don't read. They spend thousands of dollars on a vacation. Okay, we're gonna go, and then I need reservations. So as much as you might say to these people, like, could you just look at the website? It's on the top of everything. It's like plastered everywhere that you needed reservations. The amount of time that it took for guest recovery to go through this whole process every single day, the negative PR, the negative stories that they tell about Disney, spend all this much money, and they screwed up your whole vacation because of reservations. They don't have to deal with that anymore. And the 5, 10, 20 cast members that were tasked to deal with these issues, not only at the parks, but at call centers and wherever guest relation people might be, they can now go do other things because now it's basically, this is all gone.
Yep.
So it's more of it might not be like, let's help the customer aspect of it or guest aspect of this. It might be like, this might be a good way to save a lot of time. And the bonuses that we know how many people are going to be on property because you're on property for a span of 10 days, 4 days, whatever it might be. So I don't think Disney loses the analytics to this. Two, for people that, they don't like planning every single instance. I'm going to be in Disney. I might want to change. They might feel like micromanaged too much. And that's really more of a feeling than like they're more than capable of picking at what park and what day. But ultimately it comes down to is like, why do I have to plan every single day of my vacation? Where Phil, you and I might like planning every single day of our vacation and executing it. Some people just like to chill out, and we're going to get this later, wake up whenever they want and not have to worry about certain things and just kind of enjoy, a fantastical vacation.
Yep.
Do you think for a lot of people that this is preventing them from coming back? Is this something that's like I'll never go back type of thing until they change this?
I mean, I don't know what percentage, but I did post this on my Facebook feed about this, and one of my Disney friends did comment and say they hadn't booked anything since reservations were required. Now, were there other things contributing to that and that sort of thing? But this is certainly going to work in their favor and motivating them. It's just one less hurdle to overcome, and is when you have pros and cons about spending all this money for a Disney vacation, for many people, this was a con. And so at least that's been removed.
I think they're peeling back the layers of the COVID onion.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a terrible analogy, but I mean, like all the things like, we got rid of the 50th. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago, how that kind of feels like everything is quote unquote back to normal, right? It's kind of the last vestiges of COVID. This is another thing that people just like Disney World just got too much of a pain in the butt to do. So I think it's not this specifically. I don't think this is going to trigger somebody to say, now I get to go to Disney World because now I don't have to book a park day. However, this might get somebody interested. They're changing things.
Yeah.
And it leads them to ask, what else are they changing? And if they see this on a New York Times headline or wherever they get their news, USA Today, wherever, that, let's go to the website and find out if there's anything else that's new, which leads to other things like, we'll skip the annual pass holder one. So bringing back the Disney dining plan, right? I mean, I just saw you on Twitter putting my name in logo to your questionable decisions about how you don't like the Disney dining plan. So before we get to what's coming back, why don't you give everybody your take on your unliking, misliking, misjudging? I don't even know what term you want to say. What gentle hate do you have for the Disney?
Yeah, so what he's getting around is that I'm not a fan of the Disney dining plan. I will say we used it when it first came out, and it was pretty good then. It was a lot cheaper. More things were included, including gratuity and stuff like that. So it did really feel like I'm paying a little bit more upfront, but I'm getting a lot for it, and it made it more all-inclusive. And even if you felt like you were maybe wasting a little food or whatever, it still kind of gave you that all-inclusive feel. For now, the way we dine, it doesn't fit for us. And I also feel like they use it to fill up restaurants, which then for everyone, it makes it harder to find ADRs. And I'm going to put it again in air quotes, but it sort of causes a dumbing down of the menu, because each restaurant now, that if somebody's on the Disney dining plan, they just get a fixed amount of money for that guest versus the money that would actually need to be charged for the specific meal being provided. And because of that, they use less expensive ingredients, less, maybe exotic things, because it has to kind of fit within that budget. There's going to be a much more narrow range of offerings because of it. So I know a lot of people love it. I don't hate it with such a passion that I overrules my happiness for others in this case. But to me, it's not something I was a fan of. So, but to your point about like, are people waiting for things? I saw tons of posts over the last years or whatever, people saying, I'm not booking another Disney trip until the Disney dining plan is back. Like that's how important it was to their vacation. So it's kind of a no-brainer that it was going to come back at some point.
I'm going to make, because I totally agree with that sentiment, and that's something my wife would actually say 100% would get her excited about going again, because she almost did. Before I get into that, I want to combat your first synopsis of the Disney dining. I think the dumbing down of the menus did happen, but I think it happened not only because of the dining plan, but in conjunction with it. I think they were kind of both things, because as the restaurants grew, or the amount of restaurants grew, and as Disney loved to save money and corporatize everything and everything else, they were going to get to a point where the ingredients were going to be homogenous across multiple restaurants with buying power, and simplifying the menus so they could turn over restaurants faster, so the menus weren't as complicated. I think that was going to happen anyway, for the most part, except for maybe some of the higher end restaurants. And I agree with you that I hate the prefix menu that's happening all across the property right now. The only thing I could say is I hope that this, which bleeds into my next point about, why people want to go back because of the dining plan. Even if there is some homogenization of menus or ingredients, or the exoticness is gone with some places, I can tell you right now, it felt worse doing the different dining things that I did in my December trip, knowing that I was pulling out the credit card every single time and seeing that $200 and something bill for my family of 5 go, ooh, that hurt. Other than like, okay, here's one lump sum. We're going to go and just pay it off right now, or put it as part of like, because you can lump that dollar amount. Like if you have a Visa credit card, you can put all together on a package and pay it off, over 6 months with no interest because you don't have to pay it off right away. So that gets lumped into your package deal. So there's other benefits to that. But yeah, I love the dining plan only because of the inclusiveness, and I usually get my money's worth out of it. Now, here's the question though: here's the deal though. With the quick service, you're losing a snack. So I believe it's is it 2 quick service credits and a snack? Is that what it comes out to be? Currently, do you have that in front of you?
I'm looking
Phil?
it up, so I'm trying to find the details of.
So before the quick service meal was the quick service dining plan was a quick service meal and 2 snacks, I believe.
Yeah, let me see if I can
Previously,
find the details.
because now that I'm talking about it, I'm like, I used to be a dining plan expert, and I haven't thought about it in 3 years.
So what does it say here? You get
You have it in front of you?
yeah 2 quick service meals per night and 1 snack non-alcoholic drink per night on top of the meals per night, along with 1 resort refillable drink mug.
Okay, so that got downgraded from the same thing, but now you have 1 snack versus 2, which I think is a big hit. And I don't believe the details for the Disney dining plan have been released, unless that's exactly.
So this says you get 1 table service meal per night, 1 quick service meal per night, 1 snack or non-alcoholic drink per night, along with the refillable mug, and then it's still the same thing with, the signature dining and stuff like that. Still takes 2 table service credits and stuff like that.
So everybody's losing a snack, which kind of hurts. Now the question, because they haven't released price points for this, so I'm going to put you on the spot, Phil, and I'm not going to ask for a dollar amount, but I'm going to ask for a percentage increase, right? So I'm assuming. Okay, I got to look this up now. Disney dining plan costs in 2019. Let's see if I can pull this up real quick. Here we go. So a quick service dining plan for adult per night was $52.50 and $23.78 for a child. That was the quick service dining plan. This is 2019 pricing.
Yep. I was gonna say that sounded cheap for the the one with the table service.
Yeah. So, my goodness, I gotta scroll. The regular dining plan was $75 for adults. Or Disney dining plan $75 for adults. $27.98 for children. So for my family of 5, I remember the number being like $240 or $270 with tax, I think, for a family of 5, roughly. Now, let's. I think we have to automatically add $10 to every one of them just for inflationary numbers, like 10% increase, right, for inflation since 2019, so 4 years ago. Now, do you think instead of it being $74, it's, let's say, $84 for an adult would be the same level, except now you're getting 1 less snack? Are we going above the inflationary kind of cost above it now? Or are they going to say they're going to keep it the same plus inflation and also take away the snack, and that's how they're saving the money? What do you think they're going to do?
I think that sounds about right. 85, maybe 87, 89, something like that. But I don't think it'll hit 90. I think it'll be 80 something.
So you're okay. So you think it's going to be somewhere in the 80s?
Yeah. For
an adult. Kids, roughly same thing. It's going to be less than $40, you would say.
Yeah.
It was $28 4 years ago. I know what I think I'm going to agree with you, but worst case, I could see them putting it close to $100 for this, and that would be awful. I mean, you got to consider, like, I'm assuming they're going to allow character meals on this, right?
Yeah, so it'll be the same thing. Yeah, they even had that. That's a big promotion, especially for families and stuff like that, to have the character meals and popular ad. So it'll still be the same, but then, like, Cinderella's Royal Table and stuff will be 2 table service credits. Yep. But yeah, Tusker House or whatever. It's right? 1 credit. Yeah.
So that was, I think that's now 60. What is it? $65, $70? I think it is right now. So if that value holds, I think you're only losing $8 or $10, I think, out of your value, because you're losing.
So I just looked it up. That's gonna hurt. Dinner menu is now $63 at Akershus for adults. So
$65, right? So that's kind of where I'm going with that. I still think it's a good value at $85. because that $20 is going to get you your lunch at a quick service meal and then the one snack.
Which makes me think the kid one might be more, because the kids is 41 at Akershus, so you're gonna have to charge more than $40 for the plan, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Now you know what? That's a good point. That's good because the adult for the character dining has always been between 50 and 60.
Yeah, but the kids one used to be a little bit cheaper, right? It's like 20 something or whatever. Now it's 41 for Akershus. Oof.
And I think that's what's going to get you, unless they turn Akershus into a signature dining.
That's true. With the princesses and stuff, maybe they make more things. Signature.
That's the best thing about Akershus.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, we're kind of digging in here. Either some restaurants are going to change to signature, or I suspect any ones that have like a $60 to $40 price tag, depending on where you are, they might turn to a different thing or not be available in a Disney dining plan. But I can easily see them allowing things like Hollywood and Vine, Crystal Palace, Tusker House, those type of things, falling under these things pretty easily, and put a premium on the princess service. Okay, so the dining plan, we always thought that we were kind of guessing that it's going to be a la carte. You can kind of construct your own Disney dining plan. They're not allowing that. I would really I want 2 snacks, but I always had a lot of snacks left over.
Yeah, there was always just people going to like Goofy Candy Company and loading up on stuff to bring home and stuff. Yeah, they were super helpful though if during like if you went to a festival at Epcot, because a lot of the booth things you could use a snack credit at.
Now, I think it would be smart if they sold festival dining plans to do this type of thing. See, you know what? I'm always thinking for Disney right there. You can thank me later. Okay, so I want to go on to the next one. Is introducing good to go days for annual pass holders and cast members. I think this is great. I think cast members should cast members should never have to have a reservation anyway. And annual pass holders, they basically get to go in the parks. So you have to figure out when they're allowing that, which is probably going to be quite often.
Yeah.
I would imagine unless it's like, the Easter holiday weekend, spring break times, like holiday events and the bigger peak times might be a little sparse. Or it might be, you can't get into Magic Kingdom. It's out today, but you can get to all the.
I was going to say, I should add, they did add in the notes that good to go days may vary by park. So I could definitely see like Animal Kingdom's wide open, Epcot's wide open, or whatever. But yeah, you'd have to have a reservation again in Magic Kingdom or Hollywood Studios or whatever. So,
I mean, this is to tell me that the annual pass holder they want more annual pass holders because now the parks might be getting a little light now, so they're trying to entice everybody to come back down.
And I'm sure, like, if you're an annual pass holder, you want to be able to go over whatever you want. So you obviously prefer things were just wide open. But between these like good to go days and other than Magic Kingdom on the weekend, you can go to any park after 2 p.m. anyway. It's like you still have your reservations you can make. So you can make if you want to go to Magic Kingdom on a weekend or you have family coming in, use those reservations for that. And then most of the time you'll be able to hop over anyway. So I think, they're getting there, I think, for making it fairly flexible for most annual pass holders, I think, at this point.
But I got to say, a lot of the annual pass holders were a little whiny when it comes to this because most of the time reservations were easy to get, right? Like if you knew you wanted to be in the Magic Kingdom on Thursday, you could usually get it on a Monday for the most part, other than some of the busier days. But again, they just want to show up and go. And I don't blame them.
Sure,
right?
You're paying a lot of money, absolutely.
All this money. I mean, you should be able to walk in like always. So that's going to be good for them.
It did make me wonder again about like virtual queues and stuff. So on these good to go days, will all annual pass holders be able to try for a virtual queue at Tron or whatever and stuff like that? Or are they still going to limit that only to people with reservations and stuff? Or
yeah, I mean, that's a good segue into the Genie Plus simplification of it. First of all, I don't trust Disney to simplify anything at this point, other than just ripping it all away, which they won't because they make so much money from it. So, going back to your virtual queue point, I think the easiest way to solve is you can't get into a virtual queue until you enter the park. I think that's the only way to do it. Because they can't have people taking up virtual queue spots and then at 10 o'clock in the morning decide like, oh, we're going to go to Animal Kingdom instead of Magic Kingdom, right? I don't think they're going to do that because it's going to just be like dining reservations, right? You're going to have a lot of people just like sit on these things and kind of try to release them so their friends can, like, it's going to be a whole bunch of shenanigans. And Disney, I want to say they're too smart for that, but they're not. They need to hire somebody that knows how to gamify systems and be like, this is what people are going to do from like learned behavior of stuff. So I think you just have to be. It's the simple thing is you want to get into the virtual queue, you have to be in the park, and while supplies last, that type of thing. Do you think they're going to do anything different with virtual queues? I think you have to be just like you have to be in the park to get on a line for a ride.
I don't know what they're going to do. It would be interesting to say people who make a reservation, or if they're on site or something, they get preferential treatment, or I don't know.
I think virtual queue and Genie Plus are completely separate systems, even though you use the same app to do things. Because you're not, you can still get into virtual queue without paying for Genie Plus. So the services have to be you're using the app, you're not using the service for that. So my thinking is I think they have to make it so you have to be in the park, because otherwise they're going to have to force you to go into the Magic Kingdom and use a reservation for it, but they're taking away the reservation system.
Yep.
So I don't think they want to deal with people saying, okay, I'm going to get into a virtual queue. Okay, I'm going to make a reservation. Then the legacy systems are in place. And that's just more like, oh, what happens when they make a reservation for Magic Kingdom? Or they do this, right? You have to have a reservation to make a virtual queue before 1:00, right? The first round, you have to have a reservation for the park. Then what they do is they decide to go, you know what? I don't want to go to Magic Kingdom today. I want to go to Animal Kingdom. And they show up to go to Animal Kingdom, and the system locks them out because there's a reservation on there. And the reservation system is still in place. It's still functional. So it puts a block, and now there's more IT. There's more customer stuff that they deal with. So I don't think they're going to force reservations on people to do that. I think you're going to have to be in the park to get into a virtual queue. That's my prediction. I could be wrong. Somebody tell me I'm wrong.
Yeah, I mean, the only problem is what's better, to have to go to the park, get there at rope drop, be in the park, try for it, and not get it. And now you're stuck at the park that maybe you're only there for the virtual queue and you didn't get one, or finding out ahead of time and not going to the park if you don't get one. And I don't know.
Or you think that's what people are going to do instead of setting their alarm for 7:00, rolling over, getting their ills, and then, going back to sleep? They're going to have to actually get up at 6:30 or 7, whatever the time is, get into the park, make their virtual queue, and then leave, go back to the hotel. And
no. But obviously they'll still do stuff and whatever.
I guarantee people are going to do that, though.
I mean, some people might if it's a later virtual queue, but I guess I meant more like now it's like, okay, I can try at 7, especially say for an annual pass holder. I'm trying for a Tron thing at 7. If I get one, I'll go. If I don't, I'm not going to go. Now they're saying they have to go to the park to try to get a Tron one. If they don't get one, now they kind of maybe feel they wasted their day or their time. They weren't going to go if they didn't get one. I don't know. There's pluses and minuses to everything, but
I mean that's a legitimate ask. What I would say though is you have your morning drop and your afternoon drop just like you do now. You say to yourself, okay, I don't have to go, but I can go at 1:00,
right?
And that's when I try to get into Tron, not in the morning. So you still have, I think gone are the days you could sit at home and do a lot of these things. And when you're an annual pass holder or whatever. I mean, unless you have a reservation, I think that's the only thing that can prevent you in potentially annual pass holders probably won't have, they might still have reservation days. We'll see how that goes. Maybe it's select days, but the select days are every day until it gets.
And then when would the virtual queue drop be? Right at the park opening, or a little before?
Ooh, that's a good question. If somebody's at the front of the line as they tap in, do you get it as you're for example at rope drop is 9:00 at Magic Kingdom, but they open the gates at 8. I think you have to do it at. No, you can't do it at 9 because there's gonna be a bunch of people on their phones walking into people, so you can't do that.
I mean, that's what they used to do. For Rise of the Resistance, everybody was in line to try to get into Galaxy's Edge, and you were all on your phone. But do you do it right at regular park opening? Do you do it earlier, so people who are on site and have access to early entry get an advantage? Or
you might be able to do that if you're that's one way of giving resort guests an advantage, right? Give them a perk is well, maybe they do that. Maybe resort guests get it normal. You can start getting them at 7:00 every morning, but if you are not a resort guest, you have to be in the park to make it. I think that might be the easy way to go. And but then maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm
I know we're getting too long,
complicated.
but
No, we got to stop. I might have to just cut this whole conversation out because now we're just theory crafting.
I guess my whole point with this whole thing though was like everything that they change, it's like sounds good on the surface, but there's some ripple effects, and we have to figure out the But to get back to the simplifying the Disney Genie Plus experience,
actual point.
I'll just read what they said. They said, we have heard from guests, which I think is the most important part, that they would like ways to plan with Disney Genie Plus services and individual Lightning Lane selections before the day of their park visit. And we want you to know we are working on ways guests may do this for visits in 2024. Our goal is to give you the opportunity to spend less time planning in the park. Like I feel like that's what you said a lot, Jason, kind of the on the fly park, project management. They want you to less time doing that and more time enjoying your visits with friends and families, which I think even for people that found Genie Plus worked, I know we've had success with it. Matt Pato's had success. They still acknowledge they're spending a lot more time on their phone and kind of doing that project management and stuff like that to get the maximum value out of it.
Now, I have to say that the second vacation I had with it, we had my adult only trip and then family trip last year. My family trip, even with more people, I spent less time with it because I was experienced with it. I knew what to do. I knew the cadence of what I wanted to do, and I spent a lot less time thinking about it. But the modification ability dropped during our vacation,
right.
So I wasn't even thinking about that when that was going on and thinking about strategies, and I didn't really actually need it anyway. That being said, most of the people that are using it are using it for the first time, or the first time they used it, they kind of just fiddled with it, and maybe a year and a half later, they come back to the parks. I don't know how often the users of Genie Plus are coming back to the parks, right? Is this once every couple of years? Is once in a lifetime trip? Those type of things where they're spending this money. So the demographic of the people using this might be completely different, but they're coming back to home with telling all their friends at the soccer game or at the PTA or at Cub Scouts or at church or wherever they're going, Disney was tough. I had to do this thing with the app every 2 hours. It's very confusing. And without thinking about it and watching 1,000 videos about it, it was tough. I remember when they first announced, I was trying to make like a flow diagram of all your decision making, and I couldn't do it because there was too many loops and like processes. That being said, my idea for simplifying this is what I think simplification works, and you give me your idea. I posted this in Discord already, so everybody who was reading Discord got a sneak peek into what I was thinking I was going to do. And they kind of teased that they were thinking about doing this ages ago, and I think they're going to start offering packages, right? So you can buy Genie Plus up to 2 weeks before your trip for any number of parks. So they're going to force you into park reservations with this, right? So they're giving away you need to make a park reservation to enter the park. But if you want Genie Plus, you can buy the service as is. You could buy it. It's going to be like you can buy it every day of your trip, right? Just like you're not really paying individual park prices on your trip because you just buy 7 tickets and you pay whatever the price is for the 7 tickets each day. You're not buying like the expensive Magic Kingdom ticket and then the cheaper Animal Kingdom ticket, that type of thing. So you're going to get the ability to buy Genie Plus for your trip. I think that's going to be baseline, and it's going to be whatever they determine the averages for that time of year, that type of thing, just like the tickets. Or if you want the pre-planning thing, they're going to add things like a princess package or a Fantasyland package or an Adventureland package, where you buy the Adventureland package. Let's say the normal price for Genie Plus is $20. You pay $22 or $24, a couple dollars extra, and you get an automatic, I don't know, Pirates and Jungle Cruise, Lightning Lane, anytime. That's kind of just like you get like a rainy day one when it rains out, you get an anytime thing. You're going to get that in your system for that package. But now you're forced to go to the Magic Kingdom because you bought Genie Plus for the Magic Kingdom. You got these Lightning Lanes, right? So that's another way of funneling people to specific parks. Or you're going to get like at Epcot, like you get like I don't know. I keep saying Future World. It's whatever neighborhood that you want package, or you get like a French package, or you get whatever it might be. They're going to start bundling these things together. And the way you can make it beforehand, where again, you can buy it X amount of days before your trip, or I hope they don't do it like 3 days before your trip. So every day you have to think what you're going to do 3 days from now type of thing. But I think they're all going to be packages, and you'll have a list. And it's like Genie Plus without any package, $20. For $22, you can get a Fantasyland package. For $24, you can get a Pandora package, which includes the individual Lightning Lane on top of it. So that's $40. I mean, like, I think there's going to be, I think they think they're simplifying things. They're going to add more complexity to it because now you're going to see all the different packages listed at all the different prices. So now you're going to have 5 options to choose from instead of just one option to choose from. But it gets you some free stuff, which everybody's like, I got my Fantasyland one. I can go with Peter Pan, Pooh, and Small World, and they're all registered, ready to go. I know what I'm getting, and a lot of people are going to be happy. Then you get the functionality of Genie Plus on top of that, right? You get to use it for the rest of the park. I think that is what they're going to do because they're not going to go say, oh, it's just like Fast Pass Plus. You get to make 3 per day, 30 or 60 days before your trip, blah, 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 blah. Because then you have to admit that the whole Genie Plus thing was wrong, and people are going to just meme Fast Pass Plus and Genie Plus together and all this other stuff. They want to avoid that. So I think they're going to be package deals. That is what I expect from them. What do you think? What do you think they're going to do?
I think they are basically going to have Fast Pass Plus that they charge for. I think in the end,
they're just going to.
I mean, I think it might be that you only can book one ahead of time, or somehow give some, if you're staying on site, you get to book one ahead of time. If not, you can't, or something like that. I don't think it's going to be.
When are you able to do that? Like you're buying Genie Plus. When are you actually going to be able to buy Genie Plus?
30 days in advance.
You could buy for your whole trip.
I think they'll go back to that.
The tickets.
Yeah, I think they'll go back to that where it's an option you can add it on. Maybe it'll be $20, and that or whatever the pricing is, they'll know what it is. Christmas week it'll be more than other weeks, whatever. But it'll be a package
just
add-on.
Like how they do the tickets, though.
Yep, it'll just be a package add-on, and you'll be able to book maybe just one in advance or something like that. But I think it'll look a lot like Fast Pass Plus because I don't hate your idea, but I think it's just more complicated and more granular.
Oh, it's a terrible idea. Yeah. I wouldn't do this, right? I don't like my idea. But when Disney says simplify things, they think simple is going to be, oh, you can buy a Fantasyland pass or Tomorrowland pass or Stick Land here, Toy Story pass, and think that's going to be simple. But it's going to give somebody a giant menu to select.
I mean, what I would do is I would get rid of Genie Plus completely and just have more individual Lightning Lanes. Not every ride, but maybe, 3 or 4 per park, maybe a few more Magic Kingdom, and let people book one ahead of time, like 30 days out or something like that. And then after you use that one, you can book another, or maybe day of, you can book others or something like that.
So I don't think they're getting rid of Genie Plus.
No, they're definitely not. That's why I'm saying that's what I would do. Or what you would do. Yeah, no, they're definitely keeping Genie Plus.
I'm just assuming Disney's going to make the wrong decision. And when they say simplify things,
no,
I think they're just going to make it more complicated.
Yeah, 100%. And there'll be different rules for on-site or off-site, and it's going to be a mess. But
no, I suspect that all these simplification, these package deals are only available for
on-site guests,
resort guests ahead of time. Right?
And I do think whatever they do for resort guests specifically, if they cannot have to book something at 7 a.m., if they feel like they can sleep in and still have something set, even if it's more complicated beforehand, a lot of people will be happy.
I mean, I'd be happy buying a discounted Genie Plus, just like how the tickets get discounted the more you buy. Yep. If you could do that with Genie Plus, I'll buy a package with Genie Plus attached to it, because if the cost is spread out, it's cheaper for 7 days versus 4 days, that type of thing. I'm good to go with that. And now I will then. I technically really don't mind waking up at 7 o'clock, just hitting a couple buttons, and then I'm up anyway.
Yeah, I don't really mind it either, but I do get the sentiment of, even if you're going to be up or most likely up, feeling like you have to wake up early while you're on vacation to do something is not a great feeling. Even if I'm going to be up anyway.
Well, I mean, that's just more things you have to
exactly.
do, not things you
100%,
right?
yeah.
Okay, and those were the 5 things.
Yeah, the only other one was just that they're continuing to provide the same extended park time.
Oh, right.
It is what it is. There, some people are saying will they expand the morning to 60 minutes or something like that, but it looks like no changes to that.
everybody gets in early that's on site, and the fancy pants that stay at the deluxe resorts get a couple extra hour nights. And I think that's good. The deluxe resorts need more things to entice people to
Yep.
stay, because most people don't mind waking up early to go to the parks. Most people would love to stay later at the parks,
Yep.
right? And that's a good perk for deluxe resorts. The deluxe resorts need more things like that to make them feel special. I want to know that I'm spending $800 a night to stay at a hotel that's not that special when it comes to accommodations, that I get some other.
Well, I know,
really
for our
perks.
December trip, our upcoming trip, we're not doing it, but for our December trip, when I was picking what dates to do and stuff like that, and we were thinking of upgrading to do a deluxe and rent the DVC, knowing that was going to be a perk, definitely was in the pro category. It made it easier to suck it up, and we planned kind of around that and stuff like that. So for sure.
Yeah, and the last night of our Disney trip last year, you had an extra hours Epcot night that night, and Phil made sure I got to the exit of the park and kicked me out because us dirty peasants staying at a Mata resort did not belong in his.
And I made sure to wipe my hands, get my peasant dust off my hands.
That's right. I had to leave with my children in tow in our tattered shirts and everything else. Yes. Okay, but that was a big, and that's what everybody's talking about, right? On the internet, that's what everything was a buzz about. And of course, if you go to certain forums, everybody's shocked / really, really cynical about what this really means. And of course, all the old dining plan arguments are up, and I love the dining plan argument only because it's just like, that's just a normal Disney argument. It's not about politics. It's not about getting rid of Splash Mountain. It's not like the park's getting nickel and dime. It's a nice planning argument that everybody.
It's a reminder.
No one gets angry about.
It's a reminder of simpler times.
Exactly, and I'm here for it. Okay, that was the first 40 minutes of the show. We still have some news, right? So there was some DCL news. I'm going to skip that. I'm going to override that, Phil. Do we want to talk about the ADR modification policy?
It's real quick. Just if people knew there was a trick normally, like if you decide you weren't going to make a dining reservation, instead of canceling it and having to pay the fee, you could modify it out to a future date and then cancel it and avoid the fee. It used to be 24 hours out. You could modify it. Now it's you can't modify dining within 2 hours of the reservation. It ties to the 2 hours now that you can't cancel without the penalty. It's not a big deal. It's just something for people to be aware of, that if you're like, oh, we're not going to make it, whatever, just modify it out. You can't do that anymore last minute.
Yeah. So which is fine.
Yeah.
Right. Like, stop hoarding things and make up your mind. Okay. So because in the sake of time, we've got about 15 minutes left in the show. I am going to move all of our takes, which were our takes on the overrated, popularly rated, underrated MCU films.
Yep.
So we're going to talk about that because we all saw Guardians of the Galaxy this weekend. We were going to talk about that show and Peter Pan, which shockingly you enjoyed. First live action film ever. I don't get the whole live action hate that's on the internet, but we talked about that last week a little bit. We're going to save that topic, the top three, which was the topic was theme nights we'd like to see at Walt Disney World in retaliation or in response to the Disneyland shows that they're doing, which is great. We're going to do that next week, right? We're going to give it its time, its due. I want to skip right to the DVC engagement because I find this very interesting.
Okay.
Last week it was what haven't you done at the parks? We were going to actually make this a top three, but everything kind of got silly. So here we are. I don't know how you want to do this, Phil. I don't know if you just want to start rattling things off. You want to go back and forth, like you give one, I give one. What are you feeling right now?
Why don't you go through some of yours that are kind of the bigger things that you haven't done that you think people might be surprised about, and then I could add some of mine.
Oh, sure. So I was trying to find a good checklist, right? Mm-hmm. I suspected that Disney one on their website wasn't going to be inclusive enough, excuse me. So I was searching the internet for like lists of attractions and entertainment. I wanted to get a mix of just like rides you could do. Ultimately, I had to go to the Disney World website to find mine. And they had a pretty good list. And I excluded all the restaurants, some of kind of like the see this entertainer kind of wandering around type of thing, because they were minor. So here's a couple big things. I've never done anything on the riverboat or Tom Sawyer's Island at Magic Kingdom. I've never had time for this, even though I always want to do it just so I can check it out. I think my next trip I'm going to make a point to do it because that area might not exist anymore as it is in 3, 4, 5 years from now. So I'm kind of I've done the obviously the train going around the park, so you kind of get a good view of that a little bit as you're going. But I've never done the river boat or Tom Sawyer Island. Sticking with Magic Kingdom, I haven't done the new PhilharMagic yet. I believe you've done
Yes.
that, right? You were
Yeah.
in one of your solo trips.
I did that
maybe?
my solo trip.
it?
Yeah. So it was newly out when I went there, which was the end of 21.
Yeah, that's what I'm remembering. I haven't done that yet. I haven't done any of the movies at Epcot. I've never had time. I mean, I don't think my kids would sit through any of them except for maybe Awesome Planet. But we've never been there when the show was starting. We never kind of prioritized to be there when it started. So that's Awesome Planet, Canada Far and Wide, Impressions de France, Reflections of China. I've never done the Beauty and the Beast sing along at Epcot, even though it's gotten poor reviews over the years. That's only relatively new.
Yep.
Did that hit 2 years yet? I can't remember when it came out.
It's probably around that,
like
but
that.
yeah, it's relative. I haven't done some of the newer versions of the movies either. Like I did the older Canada film. I haven't done the new one. I haven't done the Beauty and the Beast sing along and stuff like that either, though.
I haven't done Mission Space. I don't like spinning things and just here. I mean, I'm usually brave to try everything once, but everybody's horror stories about like being dizzy and being sick for the rest of the day. I'm like, you know what? I've seen the videos. It seems interesting. I'm going to leave it at that. Why risk not being able to get a delicious margarita at Epcot because you're feeling woozy because you were spun around at like whatever G-forces. So I haven't done that. The Turtle Crush I get that wrong. What is the actual title?
Turtle Talk with Crush at the Living Seas.
Yeah, the Living Seas. I've looked in there. I've peeked. I've kind of watched it from afar real quick, but I've never sat through and did the whole thing.
That's a good one. Your kids I think would like that. So
I think so too. But we just haven't made it back to the Seas Pavilion whenever we've been at Epcot. We've been like, again, project managing. Like, okay, we're at a test track. Now we got this. Now we got to go over here. So we've never had like a lazy day. I expect to spend a lot more time in that area of the park once everything opens the next next time we go down there, right? I've never done any of the conservation station stuff at Animal Kingdom. So I know there's an animation like drawing thing there. You can go see the animals. You can just kind of do
a petting zoo
observation. It's that type of stuff. I've never done anything. I've never been on that train, so I've never gone back there. The one thing I totally forgot that I always assumed that I have done, but you know what? I've just heard people doing it is Walt Disney Presents at Disney Hollywood Studios. My list is very inclusive because I was actually curious, what are the things that I haven't done at the park? So that's why I have a long list here. I've never done any paid tour. I'm very interested in doing either the Rhino one or the oh goodness, what is the one you were thinking about doing in the
the Behind the Seeds?
Living with the Land.
Behind the Seeds.
Living in the Land. Yeah, Behind the Seeds, right. Yes. So I'm interested in doing that. Everybody on Discord brought up the balloon at Disney Springs. I have not done that either. I think I saw that was on your list too, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. There's just one I don't even know what it is. Bruce's Shark World.
Yeah, it's an area in the Living Seas where there's like this big head of Bruce where you can kind of take photos in, and there's like other sharks and like information about sharks and stuff like that. It looks very much like what you would find at an aquarium or a museum or something like the big kind of like, you've probably seen photos of people taking pictures with like, because you can kind of be like in Bruce's mouth, it kind of looks like you're being eaten by.
I mean, I've seen the pictures of it.
It's that.
I was just like, why is this listed? I've never even seen this before.
Yeah, I actually didn't realize it was like a separate thing. I just thought it was part of the aquarium, like, or whatever. Yeah.
Right. I never got wet in Casey's Junior splash and soak station in the thing. I never will, but I've watched my kids get wet in it. And a couple other things. I've never been there for New Year's Eve. I've never done a Christmas party. I've never been there for 4th of July. I've never been to the water parks. And I guess there's the other building for like the animation shorts at Hollywood Studios. Mm-hmm. Like I've never done any of the movie watching in there. So that's the
what I can tell is that you don't go in like August like we do, when like seeing all these movies in air conditioned space is like very appealing.
Well, we used to always go in August. That was the thing. But I'm trying to like, we've done PhilharMagic in in the
Yeah.
August heat, right? So I've done that, but we've done Epcot before, and we quit early at Epcot because of the heat.
Yeah.
So instead of going to see one of the movies with like a 2-year-old, we just went back to the
Yeah.
resort and went swimming for like 4 hours. So we never did that. I'm sure there's a lot more. I wanted to include all the different resorts I've never done and some of the bigger restaurants that I've never done, but then this segment would have gotten
Right.
old.
Yeah. If you start
If
listing,
it hasn't got old
I know.
already. But that's my list. What about yours, Phil?
Yeah, so I tried to think of some of the bigger things. I did have some of like the newer movies at Epcot, and like obviously I haven't seen all the. There's like a new band now playing at Canada. I haven't seen all the music acts and stuff like that. But some of the bigger things that came to mind, I haven't been to either of the holiday parties, the regular holiday parties. Although our upcoming trip we will get to the Halloween one. I haven't done the balloon or the amphibicars at Disney Springs. The other one I thought of is I've never been like walked off a ride that breaks down. That's kind of one of my like bucket list items.
Okay.
I've had things where the ride broke down and stopped.
plan
I know
that,
you
Bill.
can't plan it. That's why I haven't done it. I can't put it on the
Please don't
spreadsheet.
plan that, Bill.
That's true.
Don't plan that.
But otherwise, I feel like there's like everything else you listed off. I feel like I do a lot of things once. Like Mission Space. I remember doing it as a kid. I did it. Kind of ask the kids every now and then, you guys want to do it? No interest? Okay, fine. So the rest of my family has never done Mission Space, but I remember doing it as a kid. And so I don't know. There's a lot of things I've done once, but then it's kind of like, all right, I don't need to do it again. So
I have no interest of going on the riverboat for whatever reason. I should probably rectify it because
it's fun and it's just like, yeah, but it's definitely one of those where you're like, I want to take a break, do something different. Let's get on the riverboat, go around. Same thing kind of with Tom Sawyer, which I know I went on it as a kid. I had photos and stuff like that, but it had been like decades until our past trip when my son wanted to go on there. So we went on there and he had a lot of fun. So yeah, your kids are definitely probably the right age to go to Tom Sawyer Island. But yeah, it's one of those things where you gotta, it's not something you can do in 5 minutes. You kind of have to allot a little bit of time. And then you're always thinking like, well, what other rides could I be on instead of doing this? So.
Yeah, I mean, that's always the balance. But I suspect the next time we go down, I'm going to try to do the vacation type of thing and not plan. So like, I don't want to be sprinting from ride to ride to ride my next vacation. That's going to be my make. I might plan it. I might have a lot of whatever, but I don't want to be like, okay, now we got to go here. Now we got to go here. This is the fastest way to get to
I'm really hoping I can have that same view in August too, because A, it'll be hot, so I don't want to be running. But B, like, because we're just there in December and I feel like we did get to a lot of things, it'll feel like, well, we don't have to get to that. We just did it and that sort of thing. So, so we'll see.
I hope so for you, because I think that even though you're not planning the off days, and I was talking with my wife about this a couple of weeks ago. I was like, well, do you want to have a whole day at the resort on our trip? Because we were talking about, like I said last week, planning it with the neighbor, and we had some, we had a party with the kids this weekend. We kind of brought it up again. And she's like, you know what? I don't want to have a full off day because that's boring. Because there's only so much you could be at the pool all day long, right? And then
you start thinking of things to do and fill the time, and then all of a sudden it's not enough day.
Yeah, exactly. And you're at Disney spending all this money, you might as well be doing something, right? So that being said, I think it's a mindset that you have to have, and it's going to be a problem for you in your upcoming trip because Disney Plus is still going to be, Genie Plus is still going to be Genie Plus, which kind of forces your planning brain to start like planning things. Like you have this tool that's going to allow you to do the things that you would think are fun. So you have to actively like not use it if you buy it, I should say. I would say like the parks that you don't buy it are probably going to be the days where you kind of don't rush from attraction to attraction.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be the way to. What are some of the things the community has not done?
Yeah, so I was trying to just highlight some of the bigger things because some did, like I haven't been to these different restaurants and stuff like that. One thing I noticed from T.L. Madden, he mentioned that their last trip they did cross off a lot of firsts, so that's always exciting. I think he mentioned like getting to Cinderella's Royal Table and doing Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique and stuff. Excuse me. But he said they've never been on Kali River Rapids, which I think is a little surprising. And and he also hadn't done any of the tours.
I think that the theme was a lot of people haven't done the tours and stuff like that. Yeah. I mean, that's a lot of people don't know about them and their availability. They're not really broadcast like on the website as things to do because they're very limited.
Janelle mentions she's never done Tales with Belle or the Astrojets, any of the firework cruises, any of the golf stuff. hasn't done Keys to the Kingdom or seen the Nemo show. And she's like, oh, so listing them all out, I realized I missed a lot. So I think I feel like a lot of people appreciated going through this because it kind of like brought to mind, like there's a lot of things you feel like you've done so much, and then there's like still so much you haven't done. Lumpy mentioned the same thing. The restaurants hasn't done Behind the Scenes. Got into a little bit with which resorts that he's only stayed at, a handful of resorts, and also mentions never renting any watercraft at any of the resorts. Let's see, what else did people mention?
I mean, her Herdomaniac was like shocking. What some of the things they haven't done.
Yeah.
Rise of the Resistance, Lightning McQueen. I'm going to go through their list just so we can.
I think this will be a good one to go through because it's probably the most concrete and got the most like responses, I guess.
Responses is a good way to. So Rise of the Resistance, I could see not doing Rise of the Resistance, not paying for it, or not wanting to spend.
Yeah, especially if you've only been there like once or twice since it's been open. You're like, there's probably been a long line or it's been expensive for sure.
After hours, special event parties, they are pricey. So Herdomaniac is local, I think, right? Am I remember that correctly off the top of my head?
Not sure.
Anyway, at least they were. I believe they were an annual pass holder.
Yes, I think that's true.
So any of the any new attractions since Mickey Minnie's Runaway Railway opened. So that'd be Remy and Guardians and Tron, right? Now Tron. Yeah. Yep. Never rode a horse at Circle D. I think a lot.
Yeah, I think I haven't done that either. I didn't add that to my list,
but like two other things, like the Triceratops Spin and Dumbo, which Dumbo's like a big one. I mean, that's such a classic.
I think that's the one that everybody responded was like, "Excuse me, like what?
Dumbo? You've never been on Dumbo? How's that possible?" I can understand Triceratops Spin because it's like a carnival spinner. I mean,
it's like a lesser Dumbo.
Yeah. But it's not even as good because you don't have the music and the sounds, everything that kind of goes with the movie. I mean, a spinner is a spinner, right? But it's dressed up as a carnival ride, and it is a carnival ride because that goes with the whole theme of the area there. So I don't blame Triceratops Spin, but Dumbo, man, you got to get on that. Anything else stand out for you on this list?
No, the only other thing which I realized I'd written on Discord, but I didn't put in here, is that I've never been picked as like that guy at Monsters Inc. Laugh Floor or been the spy on Star Tours. So I don't know if that's something that a lot of people have done, and I've also never been a Space Ranger Galactic Hero on Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin. I haven't done that either.
Another thing is somebody in Julie in chat was talking about the Magic Kingdom Sorcerers game that was.
Oh yeah.
Right. I've never done any of those games, and after doing the Olaf hunt at Epcot at Christmas time, and my family absolutely loving it, I am now doing all of these whenever I can get my hands on them. So like whatever the DuckTales.
Yeah, there's the DuckTales one. And then obviously each of those festivals. I think they still have the Pirate Hunt in Adventureland, which you can get your map and you go around Adventureland.
That's been closed down. I mean, is it the full production of it again, or is it just kind of like
I thought it's still, you could go around, you get your map and you go around. In the past, you used to get a free fast pass if you did it for the Jungle Cruise or for Pirates, but I don't think you get that anymore, but you can still do the thing.
Because the whole area was always roped off when I walked past it the last couple of times I saw it. That being said, if you haven't joined in, make sure you go back onto Discord and fill in what you haven't done at Walt Disney World. If you can shock us, that'd be fun. Hit us up on all the different social media platforms. Make sure you like and subscribe wherever you do. It helps us out. And Phil, I think that might do it. Next week's DBC engagement, it's highlighted staring in front of me. I almost forgot to mention it. This week's DBC engagement is, what is something you would love to experience for the first time again at Walt Disney World? So a lot of us take things for granted because we're going every single year. What would you love to have? What would you love to do for the first time? Like it's like brand new. You get that whole experience. I'm sure
like it's been wiped from your memory and it's a first time experience. Yeah.
I can't wait to see some of the answers for this one. I think this is a really good question. I already have like 3 of them in my head that I'll share next week. Next week, we'll get back to our normal show format. And I'm kind of liking recording this on a Monday, Phil, because it seems like Disney kind of drops all the good stuff on a Monday morning instead of doing that on a Sunday afternoon. So that being said, thank you very much for listening, and we will catch you next week.
Take care, everyone.